If my girl and Mo Yi are both drowning and I can only save one, you can catch me at my girl's funeral revealing worms in my hand and summoning tokens to synchro into Chick-Sao and add Long Yuan to my hand.
The Synchro Festival. The issue is, if you want to play a synchro deck this event, I think almost every single synchro deck you can make is super hella expensive. Like multiple, like 5+, 6+ URs at minimum. So if you don't want to like craft, if you don't own a synchro deck and you don't want to craft one just for this event, your best bet is going with the loners. And I will say maybe the Goldie one looks competent. The problem is with these loners is hand traps are legal, Maxi is legal. None of these decks are running Maxi. Pretty much, not only that, they only run 2 hand traps each, and Fiendish Chain in the year of our Lord and Savior 2023. So you're gonna be behind on the staples, like battles with other people's decks, and frankly, this is like a kind of a mean build. Like all my Goldie players, they all drop the field spell. They don't run more AF average. They don't run the Steep Sea King. This is like a more brickier version of the Goatee deck. So, you know, if you do own a synchro deck, the other thing is the ban list hit a lot of decks. Like there's so much like huge parts of a lot of synchro decks that are like limited or straight up banned, or decks that require one key non-synchro monster, extra deck monster for their plays. So I'm gonna try to cover some decks that are playable, that are relatively decent for this event. So obviously, we have Swordsoul. Do I think this is gonna be the best deck of the event? Hell no, absolutely not. This deck is so like one Moye, well one Moye, so you lose 2 starters right there. Plus, not having links really hurts because like you need the Tenny. Like your Tenny plays are like a huge part of the deck, and like just not. First of all, it makes your Taya worse because you can't just get these in the grave anymore, so you can't use Taya as another extender. So it's kind of like it's gonna feel bad playing this deck if you're a Swordsoul player. Now, I still think this is gonna be one of the most represented decks of the event, simply because Swordsoul has been around for a long time, and majority of people do have a Swordsoul core. So even if like it's not gonna be like be close to being the best deck, maybe even like it's still gonna see a lot of play. So you're gonna run as many Swordsoul cards, like as many copies of Moye as you can. You know, you have like the one you're allowed to run, and you're running max copies of Ecclesia, you have max Emergence, you know, yada yada. Heavenly Dragon Circle is traditionally was a way to dodge Imperm and add Protos. Now you're gonna use this as a way to add Moye to your hand, or like set up your plays, because you're gonna summon a Tenny and then search your starter that way because you're low on starters like that. And it's really just the rest of the stuff. It's like hand traps. Like we're Maxi, Ash, because these are legal. You're gonna have to run them. You're gonna have to run like Call By for anti-Maxi. Psyframe Gear Gamma, I think is really important in Swordsoul now, because you're depending more on Heavenly Dragon Circle to start your plays now, which means you have 3 additional cards that are ways to bait Ash or Maxi on your turn to make Gamma live. So yeah, and it's also still the best hand trap going second. I'm running Veilers over Imperms because this is gonna sound terrible, but Veiler is a level 1 tuner. So Veiler plus Vishuda or Ashuna goes into Chi Xiao. So it's you can use that to start your plays. Sounds bad. And you might be wondering, there's no Tennies. There's no Tenny links? Why are you running Tennies? Well, you need worms in hand. Like the Swordsoul cards are hit to the point where like there's barely any Swordsoul cards you monsters you can run in the main. Like you need reveals for Longa, and you need like stuff to pitch for Longa. You need reveals for Moye, and in a pinch, one of these 5 cards and one of these 5 cards is a way to start playing the game. It's not like this is like it's gonna feel so. I know I'm gonna play a few games of this, and I'm gonna be like, damn, I can barely do anything with this hand. I hope they don't have an imperm. And like for the extra deck, right? You're running all the standard stuff, and to replace the 4 link monsters, I put in Ruddy Rose. This is not needed. It's funny. I put in the 3rd Baxia. Not really needed. White Aura Whale, because white. And Excel Synchro Stars Dragon is actually the one that's gonna come up most often, because with Gamma, Omega is banned. So you're gonna go, if you trigger Gamma, you're gonna go into this, and then this is gonna revive the Gamma, and then you're gonna go into Baron, like that. So you have a Baron. You negated their hand trap, and you start your play with a Baron before you commit anything. Or you bricked and you don't have any plays, so at least you have a Baron. You know? So next this is kind of a 2-in-1. This is P.U.N.K Virtual World. I think Virtual World is okay, as in they hit Lulu to 2 for some reason as they hit. I don't quite understand why, but you can play Virtual World and you can set up like Shen, Chuche, or if you own it, you can go Ultimate Zoken into Crystal Wing as well. So like that's pretty decent. You don't have like Zeus plays or Beatrice plays or like stuff like that, and they banned Bright of Artemis here, so you can't do the adventure lines into Baron as easily. But yeah, well, I actually considered combining with P.U.N.K because P.U.N.K without Rising Carp is actually like significantly weaker as like a pure deck, since like this gets you everything. This searches you a field spell. So without this, you have to hard draw the field spell, so you're gonna run more copies of it, which is like kind of a brick, sort of, and you like it's harder to set up a disruption and like extenders that way. But yeah, if you combine the P.U.N.K stuff with the Virtual World stuff, then you can end on like Zoken with the Crystal Wing setup with a live Chuche, a Shen, and then a Psychic and Punisher as well. And the main reason we're running the P.U.N.K stuff is because you could go into a Jam Dragon Drive, and this card you can use a level 3 Psychic monster and either add to your hand or dump to the grave. So that means you can add Lulu to hand, which is like your most important Virtual World name in hand as a combo piece, or you could dump Nyan to the grave as well, and then if you already have Lulu access. So a bit of a consistency boost for the deck, just says, the limited to 2 to Lulu makes all the difference. But yeah, I mean, the Virtual World wasn't known as the most consistent deck before, so this is just another layer added to that. And for the main deck is pretty like self-explanatory. You're just running all the copies of Virtual World cards as you can, and then you're running the 5-card P.U.N.K engine. You can access either half of your deck with each telly. And the extra deck, a lot of stuff matters, a lot of stuff doesn't. Oh, I'm actually missing something. Yeah, Hypersonic and Riser. Neither player can activate the effects of face-up monster on the field with more attack than this card. So yeah, you can summon this and just turn off your opponent's board while you do your stuff. It's probably more important than the Mud Dragon. So yeah, there's that. There's Orient Dragon, which is really funny because only synchros from the extra deck are allowed, so you're gonna have something to advantage of this very often. Horus, it negates a card. Probably not ever gonna go into this. Have these two standard level 6s, Stardust Charge and Coral, that you're gonna go into more often. Juju. There's Juju. You have the Zolkin plus Crystal Wing, obviously. This is the main part of your board you're gonna try to do. The Jam Drive, which again accesses these two cards. You're not actually gonna go into the level 11 synchro, the Amazing Dragon. You're not gonna go into with Sharakusai during your opponent's turn for bounces and stuff, so it's not gonna be like that. But you can still make this, and it is you do run quite a few level 3 psychic monsters too, so you can just bounce this and use it as a board clear on your turn. Same with Marillion Mech, which is standard. You got the Shen, the Psychic and Punisher. You can end on Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss a lot too. And Sigma is Giga Chad. Yeah. Next is Blackwings. It's kind of weird. This is definitely probably one of the cheaper decks you can play, because majority of stuff you need is in a structure deck. The only like real stuff that's necessary, if not from a structure deck, is like this one. For some reason they didn't include the No Fung in the structure deck. No, thanks Konami, but like that's one UR. And this, but you don't need this if you're just playing this for the event. You can get away with 3 structures and just like run these ratios. But for some reason, right? Like I understand limiting the assault, the super masquerade that burns you for 700. Like you don't want to get 3 of these on the field turn 1 and then just have your opponent not be able to play the game. I get that, but they also limited Black Whirlwind, but they've limited both Black Whirlwinds. So now, like you really gotta open your Simoon, your Sudri, get your plays going. To that, like it's all the you're gonna hear. I'm sure you've heard this from me a lot, but all the staple hand traps, Maxi, Ash, the called by the Master Duel attacks, plus a few imperms, and the 40th card Valor as a cross-out target. Unfortunately, this deck can't really run Nibiru so well, because Simoon requires you to control no monsters, so yeah, unfortunate. And you need the small world bridges right now. Like you need a Cedar Saga, so small world is important. Yeah, 3 of this one, 3 of this Blackwing, 3 of this Blackwing, Shamal, 3 Vada. Then you can run 1 of each of these as your the stuff you access during your combo, and 1 magical broker. This is a small road bridge. Pray you don't open this. And for the extra deck, the important stuff is 1 of these, 1 full armor master, 1 these are this is a dark level 8 synchro you can go into, and this you can go into if you have access to this Orochi. Double Blackwing Dragon, Silverwind the Ascendant. This card is a when you can, it can miss timing. This card was printed in 2008 or 2009 or whatever, so yeah, careful of that. 1 Chidori. Raikiri is unfortunately not any structure deck, so yeah, you don't have to craft this if you're just playing this for this event. This is not again, since they removed 2 of the Assault Wing Dragons and removed all links, and you can't play the Kali Yuga version obviously in a synchro event. There's you can't even fill up all 15 slots with usable cards. So this is just a random thing I put in because it's glossy, but I'm probably never going to go into. 1 Sahaya, 15th card. Double Boreas Storm is actually important. The No Fun is unfortunately important, and this is not in the structure deck, so thank you Konami. You can do 2 UR Blackwings that you can't craft, that you have to craft. And Hot Red Dragon Archman King Calamity. So this is basically like Kali Yuga in the Synchro version. Your opponent can activate cards if you summon this on your opponent's turn. You can totally make this. I wouldn't recommend crafting this if you don't already have it, because I mean who wants to, like, the Kali Yuga version is better than this if you're playing this outside this event. So this is you're only gonna use this for this event. So like I don't recommend crafting it just for this. But you know, if you already have this, you can be funny and Kali Yuga at home, people. Alright, this might be one of the better decks of the event. Naturia Vernusylph Ishizu. This is basically if you rolled a lot of packs in the Naturia pack, you might have access to this deck. I heard Nat Beast is a pretty good card. Yeah, and you could play the Shufflers and the Ishizu cards, because they function with the Vernusylph engine. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty much it. It's not the most consistent version, and the runic version is more consistent, but we can't have runic cards in a synchro event. So this is 3 Mole Cricket and the Sunflower, then the Ash Maxi called by in terms of flex spot, 3 of this Vernusylph, 3 of this Vernusylph, or as many copies of this as you have. 3 of this Vernusylph, 4 Ishizu cards, 3 Camellia, Vera, 1 Vera, this is probably not it, but so the Vernusylph cards, some of them you can send Earth monsters from your deck to the grave. You also so you know, stuff like this, stuff like Sloth. If you send Sloth, you can reborn it with Vera on your opponent's turn, and then your opponent cannot special summon from the extra deck. And then if you have like a Nat Beast up too, they can't use spells to break that board either, unless it's Forbidden Droplets, because Forbidden Droplets still works, so keep that in mind. Yeah, this is probably, I mean, this deck has some consistency issues as is, so you probably shouldn't be running this, but I think it's very funny. But yeah, you don't need this. You could run a Foolish Burial instead or something for consistency. Speaking of Foolish Burial goods to dump Naturia Sega Tree, yeah, basically go mold. You know, a lot of times you want to send as many Sacred Trees as you can to the grave, if possible, and you can revive Naturia Blessings, 3 Naturia Blessings, and the extra deck. A lot of this stuff doesn't really matter at all. Like Naturia Beast is important. Barkion might be important. You have a Baron and Changing as your level 10s. And then the rest is like, I don't think the rest of the stuff is even... like, yeah, it's good to have level 6 synchros, but it doesn't quite matter which ones you want to go to. You can have a Circle of the Fairies, which gives you another normal summon for plant monsters, which is very funny, but it's a level 7, so I don't think you go into this too often. You have whatever level 8 synchros you have. I have a Diabolantis, which I can use to send... which I can use to send materials to the deck from deck to grave. Satellite Warrior. It's Satellite Warrior. You can't really make this during your opponent's turn, so it's not really that useful, because Baron will probably board clear enough if you can make it already. Ruddy Rose is funny. Herald is... you can make this sometimes with some hands. And Psychic and Punisher. Keep in mind, you are locked into Earth a lot of times. So like, I don't even know why Satellite Warrior is in here, to be honest, because you can't even trigger this. Get that out of here. Yeah, basically it's just like the 2 Naturia synchros and like a few level 10s, and then a few whatever level, and then you just make sure you have synchros of each level. but whichever ones they are in particular doesn't quite matter. And I mean, yeah, this is I think this will be a fine deck for the event. Now, I want to talk about other decks you might be thinking of that I don't think are fine for the event. So let's look at the ban list here. Okay, so we covered the stuff we covered a Swordsoul build, a Virtual World build, and a Blackwing build. I think those are still going to be playable. What's not playable, I'm not sure Synchrons are going to be playable because Junk Speeder is like almost the entire deck, I feel, and it's banned. So I don't know what Synchro does if they doesn't. What Synchrons do if they don't go into Junk Speeder. I'm gonna be honest. But if some good Synchron players are in the chat, let me know. I'd be happy to see some jank Synchron builds for this event. Speedroids. So Speedroids, you might look at and like, you might think, oh yeah, this deck is largely unhit, right? Well, this is really important. The rubber band is so important. This gives you an extra normal summon, and it gets you another search. And the way it works is you always get this always gives you access to Terra Top. Deck randomly picks one for you to add to your hand. You send the other to the graveyard. Yeah, so you reveal Terra Top and you reveal the Yo-Yo. So Yo-Yo will, you get another normal summon, and Yo-Yo can just, if you don't add Terra Top directly, you can just Yo-Yo it and then target Terra Top and special summon it, then you get it that way. So not having the Link monster just like cuts you off of that play, and if you don't have access to Terra Top consistently, then it's like, yeah, I don't know about the consistency of this deck. And as for P.U.N.K, well, I don't think P.U.N.K as a pure deck is, like I said, I'm not sure it's going to be that playable this event because Rising Carp is such a big deal, and you're gonna see P.U.N.K a lot as like an engine just to make level 8 synchros. I think there are some decks that can abuse like Assault Synchron, and P.U.N.K, and then you make Chaos Rulers and stuff like that. But you're not gonna end on like the average P.U.N.K end board because you don't have access to the Rising Carp. So yeah. And I hope out of all those decks I covered, there's like, you find something, one of the things that's playable. If not, you can play the Goatee deck. I think the Goatee deck is probably the most confident out of the 3 loners because it doesn't have Fiendish Chain, and gonna be honest, I don't quite know what Ice Jades does. Ice Jades do, but yeah, play the Goldie Loner if you don't own a Synchro deck, because I know Synchro decks are expensive, and if you don't want to like pay 3 structure decks for the Blackwing structure deck.